Los Angeles, 1975. A television studio. The Dick Cavett Show. Muhammad Ali sits across from the host, ready to promote the upcoming fight. Ali versus Frazier. Round 3. Manila in 3 months. Cavett asks about Joe Frazier. What does Ali think of his opponent? Ali's face changes. The performance mode switches on. He leans forward. Joe Frazier, Ali says. You want to know what I see? I see a gorilla. The audience laughs. Ali continues. He looks like a gorilla, moves like a gorilla. In Manila, I'm going to show the world what happens when you put a gorilla in the ring with the greatest. The segment ends. The show airs. Millions watch. Newspapers run the quote. Ticket sales spike. Mission accomplished. What Ali doesn't see is what happens in Philadelphia, in Joe Frazier's home. Joe sits with his wife Florence and their children, watching the show. Joe's face doesn't change. When the segment ends, he turns off the television. His children look at him, waiting. He says nothing. Walks upstairs to his bedroom and closes the door. Florence follows, finds him sitting on the bed, hands clasped, staring at nothing. Joe, she says. He doesn't respond immediately. When he does, his voice is different. He called me a gorilla, Florence, on television, in front of the whole country, in front of my children. He's just selling the fight, she says. Joe shakes his head. You don't understand. That word, gorilla, ape, animal, that's what white people called us for 300 years. And now Ali, a black man, is calling me that, using that weapon against me, for money. The next day, Joe Frazier's children go to school. The teasing starts immediately. Kids in the hallway making gorilla sounds, scratching under their arms, calling them gorilla kids. Teachers don't stop it. Some laugh. Frazier's daughter comes home crying. His son comes home with skinned knuckles from fighting a kid who wouldn't stop. Joe Frazier, heavyweight champion of the world, sits at his kitchen table and realizes that Ali's words have done something his fists never could. They've hurt his family. Over the next weeks, it gets worse. Ali doesn't stop with one comment. He brings a toy gorilla to a press conference, holds it up, beats on it. This is what I'm going to do to Joe Frazier in Manila. The cameras eat it up. The newspapers love it. The promotion works brilliantly. Ali is a genius at selling fights. Everyone says so. The toy gorilla becomes iconic. The image runs everywhere. Ali beating on a toy gorilla that represents Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier watches all of it, absorbs all of it, says nothing publicly because what can he say? That it hurts? That being called an animal by another black man, by someone he thought was a brother in the struggle, cuts deeper than any punch he's ever taken. He can't say that, so he channels it, takes it into training, into the ring, into Manila. Manila, the thriller in Manila. October 1, 1975. The third fight, the rubber match, 14 rounds of violence that redefines what the human body can endure. Both men leave pieces of themselves in that ring. Both come closer to death than they will ever admit. Ali wins when Frazier's corner stops the fight before the 15th round. Joe's eyes are swollen shut. He can't see, but he can hear. Can hear Ali being announced as winner. Can hear the crowd. Can hear everything except an apology. After Manila, the relationship between Ali and Frazier is broken in a way that fights alone could never break it. The gorilla comment sits between them like a wall. In interviews over the next years, whenever Frazier is asked about Ali, the gorilla comment comes up, always. And Frazier's face hardens, every time. I'll never forgive him for that. Never. The years pass. The 1980s, the 1990s. Ali's career ends. Frazier's career ends. Both men age, both deal with the aftermath of too many punches. But the gorilla comment doesn't age, doesn't fade, doesn't become just another piece of old promotion. It stays fresh, stays sharp, stays painful. In 1996, Ali lights the Olympic torch in Atlanta, his hands trembling from Parkinson's disease. The world watches and feels something, sees Ali's vulnerability, sees the price he's paid, sees the humanity beneath the legend. The world forgives Ali for everything, embraces him as an elder statesman, a hero, an icon. Joe Frazier watches the Olympic ceremony on television, watches the world celebrate Ali, watches Ali's trembling hands, feels nothing like forgiveness. Later in an interview, a reporter asks if seeing Ali's condition has changed how Frazier feels about their rivalry. Frazier's answer is direct. "I'm sorry he's sick, but I'll never forgive what he said about me, what he called me. That doesn't go away just because he's shaking now." The reporter presses. "Wasn't it just promotion? Just selling fights?" Frazier looks at the reporter with an expression that contains 40 years of something the reporter will never fully understand. "When you're a black man in America," Joe says slowly, "and another black man calls you a gorilla on television, that's not promotion. That's something else. That's using the same weapon white racists used on all of us, and doing it for money, for entertainment. I fought Ali 3 times. I can forgive the punches. I can't forgive that word." Somewhere in this same period, Ali gives an interview. Different reporter, different context. But the gorilla comment comes up. It always comes up. The reporter expects Ali to defend it, to explain it as promotion, to minimize it. Ali doesn't do any of those things. His voice, slowed by Parkinson's but still clear, carries something the reporter doesn't expect. Regret. Real regret. "Calling Joe Frazier a gorilla," Ali says, and the tremor in his hands seems to intensify as he speaks, "was the thing I regret most in my life. More than Vietnam, more than the title being taken, more than anything I did in the ring or out of it. I hurt a good man, a warrior, a proud black man, and I did it for money, to sell tickets. I took something from Joe that I can never give back, his dignity, in front of his children, in front of the world." The reporter is surprised. "But it was just promotion, wasn't it? Just part of selling the fight?" Ali shakes his head. The movement is slow but emphatic. "No. That's what I told myself then. That's the lie I lived with. But it wasn't just promotion. It was cruel. It was racist. And it hurt Joe and his family in ways I didn't understand until too late. Way too late." "Have you apologized?" the reporter asks. Ali's face shows something complicated, pain and frustration and resignation all mixed together. "I've tried. Many times. Called Joe. Sent messages. Tried to meet with him. He won't accept it, won't see me, won't talk to me. And I understand why. Some things you can't fix with words. Some damage is permanent. I damaged Joe. Damaged our relationship. Damaged something that should have been brotherhood. And I did it on purpose. For money." The interview airs. Makes some news, but not much. By the early 2000s, Ali's health is declining noticeably. The Parkinson's is progressing. Public appearances become rarer. But in those rare appearances, in those few interviews, when the gorilla comment comes up, Ali's response is consistent. "It's the thing I regret most. The thing I'd take back if I could. The thing I'm most ashamed of." In 2002, a documentary filmmaker is making a film about Ali. Gets access to interview him at length. Asks about regrets. Ali, struggling to speak now, each word requiring effort, talks about the gorilla comment. His wife Lonnie is present. She's heard this before. Knows how much it weighs on him. The filmmaker asks why it bothers him so much. After all, Ali said many provocative things over the years. Why is this particular comment different? Ali takes time to answer. When he does, the words come slowly but with absolute clarity. Because Joe was right about what that word means, about what I was doing when I used it. I was using a racist weapon, the same weapon that had been used against all of us. Against Joe, against me, against every black person in America. And I picked up that weapon and used it on a black man. For entertainment, for white audiences who laughed. Some of them laughed because they thought it was funny. Some of them laughed because deep down, maybe they did see Joe as less than human, as an animal, and I gave them permission to laugh. I gave them that. I can't forgive myself for that. Lonnie, sitting beside him, touches his arm gently. Ali continues. Joe Frazier gave me 3 of the hardest fights of my life. Gave me everything he had. Knocked me down in Madison Square Garden. Beat me that night. First man to beat me. And he did it fair. Did it like a warrior. And I repaid him by calling him an animal on television, by bringing a toy to beat on that represented him, by making his children cry, by making his life harder for money, for my career. That's not a champion. That's not a man. That's something less. The filmmaker asks if there's anything Ali would say to Frazier now if he could. Ali doesn't hesitate. I'm sorry. I was wrong. You deserved better. You deserved respect. You deserved to be honored as the warrior you are. Instead, I used you. Used the same racism we both fought against. Used it as a weapon. And I'm sorry. I've been sorry for 30 years, but sorry doesn't fix what I broke. The documentary includes this section. When it airs, some reporters ask Joe Frazier if he's seen it, if he's heard Ali's apology, if it changes anything. Frazier's answer is brief. I heard what he said. I appreciate that he admits he was wrong. But some things you can't take back. Some words, once said, stay said forever. He called me a gorilla in front of the world. That happened. Him being sorry now doesn't make it not happen, doesn't take away what my children went through, doesn't give me back what he took. In 2011, Joe Frazier is diagnosed with liver cancer. The prognosis is bad. He has months, maybe. Word reaches Ali. By now, Ali's condition has progressed to the point where communication is difficult. But he insists on trying to reach Joe, sends messages through mutual friends, asks if he can visit, can call, can do anything. The answer comes back. No. Joe doesn't want to see him, doesn't want to talk, wants to spend his remaining time with family, not with Ali. November 7, 2011. Joe Frazier dies. He is 67 years old. The boxing world mourns. Tributes pour in. Ali, through his representatives, releases a statement. It's brief, respectful, acknowledges Joe as a great champion, expresses sorrow at his passing, does not mention the gorilla comment, does not mention regret. The time for that has passed. At the funeral, Ali attends. Lonnie pushes his wheelchair. His hands shake badly. His face shows the toll of Parkinson's. He sits in the church and watches the service, watches Joe's family say goodbye. When it's over, when people are filing past the casket, Ali insists on being wheeled forward. Lonnie wheels him to the casket. Ali looks at Joe one last time. His hand, trembling, reaches out, touches the casket. His lips move. No sound comes out. But Lonnie knows what he's saying. She's heard him say it for 30 years. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm so sorry. Joe Frazier's son, Marvis, is standing nearby, sees Ali at the casket, sees the trembling hand, sees his father's old enemy saying goodbye. Marvis walks over, stands beside the wheelchair, looks down at Ali. Ali looks up at him. For a moment, neither moves. Then Marvis does something unexpected. He kneels down, puts his hand on Ali's shoulder, leans close so only Ali can hear. He forgave you, Marvis says quietly. At the end, when he knew he was dying, he said to me, I can't take the hate with me. Tell Ali I understand. Tell him it's okay. Ali's eyes fill with tears. Marvis continues. He never said it publicly, never wanted anyone to know. But privately, in his last days, he let it go. You're forgiven, champ. Whether this was true, whether Joe Frazier really forgave Ali in his final days, or whether Marvis simply gave Ali the gift of mercy in that moment at the funeral, no one knows for certain except Marvis. But Ali believed it, needed to believe it, and that belief, true or not, gave him something he'd been searching for since 1975. Peace about the gorilla comment, permission to forgive himself. 5 years later, Muhammad Ali dies. June 3, 2016. The world mourns. Marvis Frazier attends the funeral, brings his whole family, stands with Ali's family, speaks at the service, talks about his father and Ali, about rivalry and respect, about the complexity of their relationship, about how hate and love can exist in the same space, about forgiveness. After the service, a reporter asks Marvis about the gorilla comment, about whether his father really forgave Ali. Marvis's answer is careful, measured, true in the way that matters. My father and Ali had a complicated relationship. They hurt each other, in the ring and out of it. But they also understood each other in ways no one else could. They pushed each other to greatness, made each other better. At the end, what mattered wasn't the insults or the anger. What mattered was the respect. The acknowledgement that they'd both given everything they had, that they'd both been warriors. My father respected that. So did Ali. The rest, the guerrilla comment, the bitterness, all of that was just noise. What lasted was the respect. The guerrilla comment. 3 decades of regret. A wound that never fully healed. A reminder that words can hurt more than punches. That some damage can't be undone. That even champions make mistakes that haunt them forever. Ali called Joe Frazier a guerrilla in 1975 to sell tickets. In 2011, he stood at Joe's casket, trembling and silent, carrying 36 years of regret. The promotion worked, the tickets sold, the fight happened. But the cost was higher than anyone knew, higher than money could measure. The cost was brotherhood, trust, the possibility of friendship between 2 men who should have been allies, 2 black warriors who climbed the same mountain and could have celebrated at the summit together, but instead spent 4 decades on opposite peaks, separated by a single word that Ali said and Joe never forgot, and neither of them could take back.